You didn't just wake up this morning, you arrived, not in the way your calendar marks it, not even in the way the mirror recognizes your face. You arrived into a version of reality, a specific branch of existence among infinite others, selected not by chance but by frequency, emotion, and perception. The street you walked on, the people you spoke to, the events that unfolded today, they all belong to a particular layer of reality. And here's the strange part. You shift through layers constantly, often without even knowing. That argument you avoided last night, in another version, it happened, and it changed everything. The opportunity you missed last month, in a parallel thread, you took it. And your life looks unrecognizable now. This isn't fantasy. It's the strange but deliberate architecture of consciousness. And it's not something outside of you. You're not a visitor to these alternate versions. You are the architect, the traveler, the selector. What science calls superposition and mystics call timeline jumping is not reserved for laboratories or monasteries. It's happening every time you change your focus, feel something new, or respond differently than yesterday. That subtle choice you made last week shifted you onto another path. That deep emotion you felt this morning, it was a key, one that unlocked a new vibrational corridor, complete with its own set of outcomes. This isn't just a theory or some mystical metaphor. In this journey, you're going to see proof, not through equations, but through direct awareness of patterns, moments, and uncanny alignments you've dismissed as coincidence. Once you recognize the markers of a shift, you'll never look at your life the same way again, because you weren't born into a single reality. You were born into a field of mirrors, and every one of them is real. Ready to stop living on autopilot and start choosing your reality on purpose? Drop "I am ready" in the comments to claim your shift. Smash that like button and subscribe for more mind-bending truths your old reality didn't want you to see. 1. The reality layer effect. What surrounds you right now, your room, the street you walk on, the people you pass by, is not as solid or consistent as it seems. Reality is not one static plane, but a layered spectrum of vibrational arrangements. These layers exist beside one another like transparent sheets, each holding a different version of what you call real. You're not just moving through space, you're also constantly sliding across these invisible surfaces, and the world around you reshapes itself based on the signal you emit. Nothing is randomly placed in your path. That familiar object on your desk, the color of the sky when you step outside, the way traffic flows, all of it forms in direct relation to the layer you've currently landed on. This layering isn't metaphorical, it's mechanical. Each layer is held in place by a very specific frequency. And when you shift even slightly, your surroundings adjust to match. It's not that you've changed your mind, it's that you've entered a nearby shelf of reality where conditions are different, yet eerily similar. This is why certain locations might look the same but feel distinctly off, or why you find yourself surrounded by people who weren't part of your reality just days ago. They didn't simply appear, they're native to the layer you're now inhabiting. Animals often sense these shifts long before humans do. A dog that suddenly behaves unusually, or a bird that appears at a strange moment, might not be reacting to you but to the echo of the layer you're passing through. Weather patterns, too, can behave in subtle, symbolic ways when the environment you've moved into responds to your vibrational setting. A sunbeam breaking through clouds at an oddly perfect moment isn't just nature, it's synchronization with your current layer's language. Sometimes Everything around you seems to fall into place like a scene from a movie. The lighting, the timing, the sounds, in the distance, all perfectly aligned. In those moments, you're not imagining the surreal harmony. You've simply dropped into a layer that's more aligned, more refined, more attuned to coherence. It's not a dream or a miracle. It's a side effect of the structure of layered realities responding with precision to the signal that brought you there. 2. Emotional gravity. Wells. Emotions are far more than fleeting feelings or personal responses to situations. They are potent forces that shape the very reality you experience. Each emotion you encounter sends out a signal, creating a magnetic pull that locks you into a specific field of existence. When you're in a deep emotional state, whether it's joy, sadness, fear, or excitement, you are energetically anchored to a particular range of possibilities. These emotions, like gravity, pull everything around you into alignment with their energy. Your environment, the people you meet, and the events that unfold are drawn to the frequency you emit. Fear, for instance, functions as a powerful gravitational force that can trap you in a loop of repetitive, unresolved outcomes. In this loop, it feels like no matter what you do, you can never break free from the cycles of anxiety, stress, and dread. The world seems to reflect these feelings back to you, creating situations that echo the same fears over and over again. It's as though your emotional state has become an energetic cage, keeping you locked in a narrow version of reality where resolution or progress feels nearly impossible. On the flip side, emotions like joy and gratitude can act as expansive forces. They push the boundaries of the reality you experience, opening up new opportunities, events, and people who were previously outside your field of perception. When you're in a state of joy, the world seems to shift. New paths emerge that didn't seem possible before, and people with like-minded energy gravitate toward you. Your emotional state widens your field of possibility, allowing you to explore experiences that would otherwise remain closed off in a denser emotional zone. At times, sudden emotional surges can act as triggers for timeline shifts. When these powerful bursts of emotion occur, it can feel as though the very fabric of reality around you has changed. The events and circumstances you're facing may suddenly align in ways that seem disjointed or jarring, indicating a shift into a new version of reality. Over time, if emotions are suppressed or ignored, they create an energetic void. This vacuum, caused by stagnant emotional energy, results in a sense of emptiness or distortion in the world around you. Life may start to feel like a hollow echo, as though the richness of experience is slipping through your fingers. This is the effect of a collapsed reality field, where unexpressed emotions have created a dissonance between you and the vibrant layers of existence. 3. The looping glitch phenomenon. Sometimes you may find yourself in the midst of a situation where something feels strangely familiar, almost as if it's happening for the second time, even though you know it shouldn't. This can happen when you experience the same conversation multiple times, but with different people or in slightly altered contexts. These repetitions aren't coincidences. They are the echoes of timelines overlapping. You may not consciously notice the subtle differences in these conversations, but they're happening in parallel dimensions where the same events unfold with slight variations. These moments reveal that you've stepped into a reality where paths are crisscrossing and blending together. And what seems like déjà vu is actually a manifestation of timelines merging. Similarly, when you see altered versions of events whether it's a new story, a dream, or even a memory. There's a strong chance that nearby timelines have merged. The version you once experienced may no longer be the current one. Media, which often reflects collective human experience, can show you these shifts in strange ways. You might notice subtle inconsistencies or alterations in how events are portrayed, which can signal that different versions of those events are converging into your present experience. These are clues that the timeline you're experiencing isn't fixed, it's fluid, and it's constantly being shaped by the currents of parallel realities. One of the most perplexing signs of a reality shift is when time itself seems to bend. Losing or gaining time without any clear explanation is a powerful indicator of dimensional shifts. These time slips are not random occurrences, but rather signs of timelines being stitched together or corrected. But time, in this sense, becomes malleable, and what you perceive as linear may not be as solid as it appears. You may look at the clock and realize an hour has passed without you noticing, or you might find that an entire afternoon has vanished, as if swallowed by another layer of reality. If you revisit a place you know well, but everything about it feels off, slightly askew, or unfamiliar, that's another sign you've entered a variant version of that space. Locations, much like people, can exist in multiple versions, and subtle changes in their appearance or layout can indicate that you've stepped into a different timeline altogether. Even the air might feel different, or the sense of space might change, revealing that the place you once knew has shifted in response to the new layer of reality you are now experiencing. Finally, when you start solving problems that never actually happened, it can be a jarring and disorienting experience. These strange loops are instances where you find yourself addressing challenges or resolving issues that seem to belong to a different version of yourself in a reality that no longer exists. This phenomenon occurs when you've diverged from your original path, and the version of you from another timeline continues to influence your present reality. You are no longer following the path you once knew, and the choices and solutions you find may belong to a different version of your journey, one that no longer aligns with the reality you now occupy. 4. The witness consciousness split. There are times when you may speak or act, but simultaneously, you become aware of yourself doing it. It's as though you're both the one engaging in the moment and the one observing from a distance. This experience of speaking while internally watching yourself unfold indicates a shift in consciousness. You are no longer fully immersed in the experience, but you have become aware of yourself as both the participant and the observer, which reflects a form of dual-track awareness. In this state, you are split between two layers of perception, each watching and interacting with the world in different ways. It's as though you're living in two parallel streams of awareness at once, one participating in the experience and the other detached, watching from a more objective viewpoint. When you find yourself in a heightened state of experience, there may be sudden moments of silence in your mind, especially when emotions run deep or the intensity of the situation escalates. This silence is not a mere pause, but suggests that your perception has fragmented or split in two. In these moments, part of your consciousness might be pulled away from the present experience, while another part continues to fully engage. The quietness is a clue that your awareness has shifted into a parallel track, where a different part of your mind processes the situation, leaving you with a sense of detachment or disconnection. In certain instances, you may feel like a passive viewer of your life, even as you continue to interact with the world. It's as though you're observing yourself from the outside, a silent witness to your own actions, while still participating in the event. This feeling is a clear sign that you've partially shifted into a non-primary stream, where part of your consciousness is engaged in a different layer of reality. You may still be physically active and involved, but the experience is not fully yours to own. A subtle distance exists, and this subtle detachment is a key indicator of parallel awareness. There are moments when your reactions may feel entirely out of character, where you act in ways that don't align with your usual responses or personality traits. This shift could mean that your awareness has synced with a different identity thread, a parallel version of yourself who has a slightly different response to the world. The you in this moment may not entirely be the person you know, and your actions may reflect the influence of a version of yourself existing on a different path. When your thoughts seem to occur in the background while you're engaged in physical action, it's a sign that you are processing multiple versions of reality at once. Your actions are unfolding on the surface, while your internal thoughts are being directed by a different layer of awareness, separate from the immediate experience. It's as though two streams of consciousness are operating simultaneously, each observing and processing its own reality in parallel. This internal duality is a powerful indication that your mind is experiencing multiple threads of reality concurrently, where different versions of yourself are interacting with different timelines. 5. The mirror world residue. When you transition between different layers of reality, fragments of the past can sometimes linger in your current experience, much like traces left behind when a person walks through a room. One clear example of this is when you find unfamiliar items in your home that seem oddly familiar or personally relevant, even though they should not be there. These objects may have once been part of your life in a previous version of your reality. Their sudden reappearance is not a coincidence. They are remnants, or residue, of a reality you've shifted away from, suggesting that parts of your previous timelines have bled through into the present. Similarly, when items you thought were lost, discarded, or deleted suddenly return to your possession without any logical explanation, it's another sign of timeline bleed. The universe may not always adhere strictly to linear time, and when realities overlap, things that were once out of your reach can reappear. This is not merely an instance of coincidence or forgetfulness. It is proof that different versions of your life and possessions are crossing paths and merging in unexpected ways. Another indicator of these shifts is when you encounter photos, messages, or other forms of media that feel distorted or out of place. You might notice that an old picture no longer feels like it belongs to the same version of you, or a message from the past seems disconnected from the person you are now. This can happen because timelines have bled into each other, and what was once a perfectly clear and coherent memory has now become distorted by the mixing of parallel realities. The sense of disorientation you feel in these moments is not a mistake. It's the residue of a different life, one that you no longer fully inhabit, overlapping with the present. When revisiting familiar locations, you might find that they no longer evoke the same emotional response they once did. Places that were once rich with memories or personal significance may now feel emotionally hollow, as though they no longer belong to the version of yourself that stands there. This shift in perception suggests that you've moved beyond that reality, and what once was part of your world now exists in a past timeline, no longer resonating with the energy you currently embody. Lastly, when people in your life begin to act differently without any clear explanation or transition, it could be because you're encountering a version of them synced to the new reality you've stepped into. Their behavior or energy may no longer align with how they acted before, reflecting the subtle shift in the timeline. This change is not always obvious at first, but as you continue to experience these shifts, you might begin to notice that the people you interact with are no longer quite the same. They are now representing a version of themselves that aligns with the layer of reality you are currently experiencing. 6. The thought echo paradox. In the realm of mental causality, your thoughts can manifest in curious ways that bypass the conventional flow of time. For instance, there are times when you think of a person, and moments later they contact you. This instantaneous connection between your thought and their action hints at a synchronization between parallel mental streams. It's not just coincidence. It's a reflection of how your mind and theirs are tuned to the same vibrational frequency across different layers of reality. The thought you project resonates outward, and the world around you responds in kind, bringing your mental signals into alignment with the actions of others. Another fascinating occurrence is when you observe a stranger speaking your exact thoughts aloud. This is not an external phenomenon that originates from your own conscious mind, but rather an echo of your thoughts vibrating outward, reaching a space where others unknowingly reflect them back to you. The thoughts you experience don't remain confined to your own mind, but seem to spill over into the collective consciousness only to be voiced by another person. This externalization of internal thoughts points to the interconnected nature of reality, where mental signals traverse beyond your immediate sphere and reverberate through the vibrational layers of the world around you. Sometimes you may find yourself planning something internally, thinking about an idea or event, and then suddenly noticing that it has already occurred or is being carried out by someone else. This can feel surreal, as if time has been bypassed entirely. What you mentally envision becomes a pre-manifested path, one that unfolds outside of you as if your thoughts have already created a reality in a parallel version of yourself. The thought isn't just an isolated mental exercise. It's a sign that you are mentally connected to alternate outcomes, where paths and events have already been set into motion. Ideas that you've never shared aloud can appear around you in ways that seem eerily familiar, perhaps in online content or through conversations you overhear. This leakage from alternate realities shows that in a different timeline, you may have already acted upon those thoughts, and now they are spilling over into your current reality. What you've mentally constructed in one version of yourself may be emerging in another space where the potential of your ideas has already manifested. Finally, when your inner dialogue, the private thoughts running through your mind, repeats externally through symbols or signs, such as a billboard, a lyric in a song, or even a conversation you overhear, it's a signal that your mind's resonance is aligning with the external world. These external echoes serve as confirmation that your thoughts and the vibrations of your consciousness are intricately woven into the fabric of the reality you experience. And the universe seems to be reflecting back to you the mental pathways you've carved, turning them into symbols that are visible in the world around you. 7. Conscious selection points. There are specific moments in life where you experience an almost uncanny sense of pause just before a significant event unfolds. These pauses may feel strangely unreal or out of place, as though time itself is suspended for a brief instant. This is when a reality split begins to form. In these moments, your consciousness is teetering on the edge of two potential paths. The stillness before action is not merely a lull, but an energetic shift, a split where the direction you choose will define which reality you step into. These pauses serve as markers, signifying that a conscious choice is being made at the deepest level of existence, as your energy aligns with the track that will unfold next. When you find yourself in physical stillness, right before taking an action, whether it's speaking or making a decision, it is often in that very moment that your frequency locks onto a specific outcome. This stillness represents the intersection of your internal energetic state with the external world, where your consciousness is choosing which version of reality will play out. It's as if your energetic vibration scans the possibilities, and in that precise instant, the chosen path becomes your immediate future. That stillness is the key, a threshold that marks the moment when your energetic choices decide the direction your reality will take. Sometimes, after making a clear decision, you might notice that your environment changes almost immediately in response. This sudden shift in your surroundings, whether it's a change in the people around you or an unexpected event, is evidence of quantum lock-in. When you make a choice, the world doesn't just remain static, it mirrors the energetic choice you've made. This synchronization between decision and environmental change highlights how deeply connected your consciousness is to the fabric of reality, as if your selection is instantaneously manifested in the world around you. There are times when you might experience a missed moment, an opportunity that you feel you've passed by. Interestingly, this perceived loss often leads to a better outcome than the original path would have. It's not a missed opportunity at all, but rather a sign that your energetic field bypassed the old path entirely. Your choice, though seemingly missed, was actually a redirect, pushing you into a reality that offers a greater alignment with your true trajectory. This shift occurs as your consciousness intuitively selects a path that may not have been immediately obvious, but turns out to be more beneficial. Confidence, followed by swift and seamless alignment with your surroundings, further affirms that you've tapped into the right vibrational corridor. When you make a decision and feel a surge of confidence in the next steps, the world around you aligns almost effortlessly. People, situations, and circumstances begin to fall into place in a way that feels almost too easy. This is the moment when your energetic choice has fully locked into the most harmonious path, validating that you've made the right selection in the grand web of parallel realities. 8. Exit signs from the old reality. When you fully exited a previous version of your life, subtle yet undeniable clues begin to appear. One of the most significant indicators is when people around you start to forget shared memories. This can feel disorienting, as if your history together has suddenly faded. The more you try to recall these memories, the more you realize you are the only one who remembers them. This is a clear sign that your track has shifted away from the past, and you are no longer connected to that timeline. The people around you may still exist in that old version, but they are not aligned with your new reality. Their forgetting of past moments is not intentional. It simply reflects the fact that you no longer share the same energetic alignment. As you detach from the former version of yourself, The past itself starts to feel emotionally weightless. Events that once held significance now seem almost fictional, like stories that belong to someone else. The emotional charge that once tethered you to those memories dissolves, leaving behind a sense of neutrality or even detachment. The connection to your old life begins to fade, and it feels like the reality you once inhabited was never quite as solid as it seemed. The more you observe the past, the more it loses its grip on you, and it becomes harder to relate to that version of your life, as if it were a dream you've simply woken from. In this shift, you may notice that you no longer feel the need to explain yourself to old connections. There is no desire to justify your actions or choices to people from your past. They are remnants of a version of you that no longer exists, and you can feel that separation at the core of your being. This sense of disconnection grows, and you realize that any lingering attachments to them were tied to a version of reality that you have completely moved on from. These relationships now belong to a life you have left behind, and no explanation is necessary. Things that once held importance to you, goals or desires you once chased, begin to feel strangely irrelevant. What once sparked your passion now seems distant, like chasing shadows in a dream that no longer resonates with you. Your priorities have shifted, and the things that once defined your old reality now appear hollow, as if they belong to a world that no longer aligns with your current self. This radical shift is accompanied by a sense of stillness, a quiet before the storm, as if your life is temporarily paused. In this space, you may feel as if time has slowed down, leaving you in an almost suspended state. It is in this moment of stillness that the old reality fully exits, making way for a new one to rush in. The silence of this pause is profound, an unmistakable marker that you have completely detached from the previous version of your life. The momentum of your new reality is now set into motion, and the old timeline is nothing more than a distant echo. Throughout the segments, we've explored the fascinating journey of shifting through parallel realities, from the subtle shifts in your surroundings to the deep internal experiences that signal a reality transition. Each moment, whether it's a sudden feeling of detachment or the emotional weightlessness of the past, is a sign of your energetic alignment with a new timeline. You've witnessed how emotions, choices, and subtle consciousness shifts can guide you through these layers of reality, showing you that your existence is far more dynamic than you may have realized. Now it's your turn to take action. If you liked what you've just experienced, it's proof that you've aligned with this new reality of understanding. Just by engaging, you're tuning into the right frequency. If you share this with others, you're not only passing on knowledge, but also creating a ripple effect that aligns more minds with this powerful concept. And by subscribing, you're locking into a continuous flow of new insights, ensuring that you're always ahead of the curve in exploring the boundaries of your own reality. Let's continue this journey together. Like, share, and subscribe, and watch as your world shifts along with it.